Welcome to Letters from Little Saigon, a quiet corner where every story feels like a letter sent across time. Here we whisper about memories, migration, and the quiet strength that keeps hearts warm. Tonight's letter is about beginnings, the kind that come wrapped in cold air and courage. It's called My Father's First Winter in America. Imagine leaving everything you've ever known behind. The sound of tropical rain, the smell of morning coffee on the street, your mother's voice fading at the airport. And then suddenly, you wake up in a world of snow. A place so cold it stings your breath, so quiet it feels like the world has paused, waiting to see if you'll stay. That's where my father's story begins. It was the winter of 1979. The war had ended, but its echoes lingered in letters never sent, in suitcases filled with nothing but faith. My father arrived in California with one duffel bag, a worn-out English dictionary, and a small envelope of photographs from home. He didn't speak much English, but he could say, "Thank you, coffee, and I can work." For him, that was enough to start. He shared a small apartment in Garden Grove with 3 other men, each one chasing their own version of America. They took turns sleeping near the heater, an old metal box that groaned like an engine each night. And then came the first snow. He stood by the window for hours, watching white flakes drift slowly from the sky, like ashes from another world. He had never seen anything like it. Back in Saigon, December smelled of rain and street noodles, not frozen air. He reached his hand out through a crack in the window, letting the snow touch his skin. For the first time he realized he was truly far from home. The days grew colder. He wore 2 shirts and a thin jacket he'd found at a thrift store for $3. His breath fogged up the glass each morning, and sometimes he warmed his hands by holding a cup of instant coffee long after it had gone cold. Money was tight. The heater stayed low, the light bulbs dim. He learned to wrap newspaper around his feet before putting on his shoes, a trick an older man had taught him. But every night before going to sleep, he would look at a small photograph of his family still in Vietnam, my grandmother, my aunt, and the younger version of himself. He'd whisper softly, "Just one more day. Just one more step." It became his quiet prayer. One evening, his roommate Wee came home carrying a small Christmas tree someone had left by the trash. It was crooked, half bare, and missing most of its ornaments. But they placed it in the corner anyway. They made decorations from tin foil and old magazines. Someone found a string of broken lights and taped them together. That night, the little tree glowed faintly in the dark room, and for the first time in months, the space felt like home. They shared a single pot of noodle soup, a mix of cheap ingredients and laughter. No one talked about the past. No one dared to dream too far into the future. But for one night, the cold didn't win. When spring came, my father found work at a bakery in Westminster. He started before dawn, kneading dough in silence, the smell of bread filling the air before sunrise. His hands cracked from the flour and cold, but he didn't mind. Each loaf that came out golden from the oven felt like a small victory. With his first paycheck, he bought a space heater and a thick coat from a secondhand shop. He called it My American Armor. When the second winter came, he didn't fear it anymore. He sent a letter home that year, his handwriting shaky but full of light. "I have survived my first winter. The snow is still cold, but it no longer scares me. I think I'm learning how to belong." Years later, he told me that winter taught him something deeper than survival. He said, "The world will not always be warm, but warmth can come from what you build, from your hands, from your hope, from your small, stubborn heart." He never romanticized the struggle. He didn't pretend it was easy. But every time it snowed, he would pause, look outside, and smile like he was greeting an old friend who once tried to defeat him. Maybe that's what hope really is, not the end of cold nights, but the courage to keep a small flame alive inside them. Thank you for listening to tonight's letter, a quiet story from Letters from Little Saigon. If this story touched your heart, please subscribe and stay with us for more gentle tales about love, memory, and the people who carried their warmth across oceans. Until next time, may your nights be peaceful and your dreams full of light. Goodbye.